In this video, I'm going to show you the best possible team for Game Week 38, as I know quite a few managers have activated their free hit chip. So I'll be going through my Game Week 38 free hit team, which includes some popular players, but importantly, some big differentials that could help you win your mini leagues and have your best ever FPL overall rank. As always, make sure you drop a like and smash that subscribe button for the final time of the season. And enough chatting, let's get into today's video. So before we can build a team, we need to take a look at the fixtures in hand. Remember, it's the final game week of the season, so we don't have to worry about anything else beyond this point. It is for one fixture alone. And when I take a look at the fixtures, I want to try and identify which teams have something to play for, which teams might actually be at risk of rotation, and of course, which teams are just downright awful and we don't want to be touching. So working our way down very quickly, Arsenal, Everton. Everton have nothing to play for. Arsenal, of course, have everything to play for. They know all they could do is win this game and then hope that Man City slip up. For me, I don't think necessarily, even though Everton have conceded goals, I don't think necessarily they're a team that are just going to put out their youngsters. So I do think this is a great game from a clean sheet perspective for Arsenal. But as we have seen, the goals get spread about in this Arsenal team. So even though Saka, Havertz, Trossard are great picks, I think the importance right now is ensuring you own double Arsenal defence, and then reassessing whether a midfielder can actually fit into this team, because there are so many great midfielders about. Now, Brentford, Newcastle, I do think it is a game that we can avoid. I don't really think in a free hit you'll be investing in Newcastle assets, even though Anthony Gordon is great. Brighton, Man United, another team that I think we can avoid. Uncertainty about Man United's minutes ahead of the FA Cup final, and Brighton with the injuries. I just don't think we need to bring any of those into our starting 11, but I do think there are a few interesting ones that maybe could be on the bench as a differential. Burnley, Forest, I don't need to talk about that game. That is not getting included. Chelsea, Bournemouth. Chelsea have a lot to play for in terms of European spaces, so I do think that they are in a position where we can invest in. Cole Palmer, an obvious pick. Spoiler alert, he's in the free hit team. But I also do think someone like a Nicholas Jackson or maybe even an Nkunku could be included in those teams. Defensively, I think you could go there, but I do also like this Bournemouth attack. Not enough to invest in Bournemouth though. Palace, Villa, this is the big one for me. I think Palace, even though from an actual place perspective they have nothing to play for, it's a new manager who wants to finish the season strong in preparation for pre-season, and he has his full strength team from an attacking perspective. I think this is a great fixture for Palace, especially now that Villa confirmed fourth, can't get third, can't go down to fifth, were partying a few nights ago. I think there could be goals in this game, and I really do like Palace as a choice for your attacking positions. We will cover that off in a minute. Liverpool, Wolves, another perfect example. Liverpool know really what they've got, but it's the last game ever for Jurgen Klopp. You know that Anfield crowd is going to be really on it. Wolves, not really anything to play for. I really do like Liverpool from a free hit team perspective. I think 2 in your team is probably the route that I would consider, and of course I've got those in my team. Luton, Fulham, I think that's a complete avoid. No real reason to invest. City, West Ham, again, go for Man City defence at your peril, but I think they are going to put in another champion performance against a West Ham team who seem like they are just done for the season on the beach. I know they won recently, but I can't really see them putting much of a test up against this Man City team. And of course, owning a few of their attackers is going to be imperative this week. And last up, Sheffield United, Spurs. I know a lot of people are frustrated with their Spurs assets, but let's be real. This is a Sheffield United team who are woeful at home, nothing to play for. Their last game in the Premier League, maybe for a few years. I can't see them putting 10 men behind the ball and just basically saying to the crowd, you know what, we're just going to sit here. I think there's goals for Spurs, and I do think an attacker is super important. So that's a cover of the fixtures. Let's get straight into this free hit draft. Okay, so first up we have the goalkeeper and defenders, and a spoiler alert, I'm currently going for a 3-5-2 formation. I really just think the midfielders is where it's at this game week, and I think if we can invest in those areas, we should do so. So of course, the budget is obviously dependent on your own team. Hopefully you can afford this, but at the end of the video, I will talk about some alternatives that you could go for if you can't afford this specific team. But look, double Arsenal defence, I think, is absolutely essential based on the ownership in the game right now, especially in the top 100k. I've gone for Raya and Gabriel as the combination. I think Raya is decent for bonus points, Gabriel for set piece potential. We've got ourselves that double up, but it then means we have the luxury to go for Vardial, who, again, you could go for Ortega at 3.6 million in goal. I think that's a brilliant alternative, and he's such a great budget enabler. However, Gvardiol basically playing as a left winger at times. I do think you are, if you go against him, at your own peril. I think if you're free hitting right now, there is no reason why you wouldn't put Vardiol on, considering his ownership is just continually increasing each and every hour. So I think the combination of Raya and Gabriel plus Vardiol is the optimal way to go. And then it means we can squeeze in a certain Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, this one definitely is up to your own assumptions. I do get it. Liverpool have been a little bit woeful defensively. Don't even think a clean sheet will happen. However, I've spoke about the narrative. That atmosphere at Anfield is going to be crazy. And I just don't see anything other than goals in that game. And from an attacking perspective, in terms of defenders, they don't get much better than Trent Alexander-Arnold. If somebody is going to get a double-digit return, wouldn't be surprised if it was Trent. So he's in right now, but I get it. If you want to change your free hit draft, you could do a few things. Either go down to a cheaper Liverpool, but if you're not going Trent, I'd actually just avoid the Liverpool completely. And then what you could do maybe is invest in someone like a Pedro Porro, who of course has both clean sheet potential and attacking potential against the Sheffield United team. In terms of the defenders that I've got on the bench, currently got Tomiyasu for my third Arsenal defender. And spoiler alert, no attacking Arsenal player. We will come on to that in a minute. So Tomiyasu, I think his game time is pretty locked in. And I've also got Van der Ven for that brilliant fixture away against Sheffield United. It would be Pedro Porro, but unfortunately this team can't afford it based on my budget. And I forgot to mention, the backup goalkeeper right now is Petrovic. Not amazing, but I think it's an okay pick. Moving into the midfielders, and of course, this is where the magic happens on a free hit. Now, I spoke about it. I think the midfielders is exactly where we need to invest our money in a free hit, because that is just where it has been this season. I know the forwards have been good, but based on the fixtures, I've just seen too many great midfielders to not go for a 3-5-2 formation. So the ones I think are just absolutely locked in, I think Phil Foden, very difficult to look past him. I think you could go for Kevin De Bruyne as the ultimate differential, but I'm just seeing too much right now from Phil Foden to suggest we should go against him. But I do like De Bruyne if you want to go there. Cole Palmer is just one of the most locked players you can get. His ownership is ridiculous on penalties. He's unbelievable in terms of returns this season. You'd have to be mad to go against Cole Palmer. So those two are locked in. I think the other three are up for grabs right now, but when I actually look at them on paper here, I really don't think I could look anything past these three. Elise, for me, is the best Crystal Palace midfielder. I think Eze is brilliant. His underlying numbers are fantastic. And it's worth noting, Elise is actually outperforming his underlying data, but he just has that little bit of magic about him. And I do think, as I previously discussed, the narrative I have in my head is that Aston Villa have nothing to play for. They may even roll out some of the youngsters in this game now that fourth is absolutely locked in for them. I don't really think the motivation is necessarily going to be there. Whereas Palace, under Glazier, a new manager, they actually have something to play for right now. They have to give the fans something to look forward to in pre-season. And they've got that magical front three of Eze, Elise and Mateta. And I think Elise, at around 2% ownership, is the place to go in this free hit team. Mo Salah at home against Wolves. I just cannot build a free hit draft without putting the Egyptian king in. If Liverpool are going to go off, you know Mo Salah is going to be at the heart of it. We don't really have any certainties about any other Liverpool attacker. It's the final game under Jurgen Klopp. We could see some maybe emotional picks go into that starting 11, but also he could just go for his best 11. And we know, regardless of which team he picks, Mo Salah is in that team. On penalties as well, and we just know if somebody can have the ability to get a double-digit return, Mo Salah has proven that year in, year out. So I love Mo Salah as a pick. I know a lot of people who aren't free hitting are bringing him in as part of a -4, so you already have that edge on those managers. And last up is going to be Son. Now, I know Spurs have been a little bit disappointing. I know Son's been a little bit disappointing. But look, this is a Sheffield United team that are already relegated, have nothing to play for. And as I mentioned, I just do not see Wada in that changing room saying, boys, we need to play safe today, play 10 men behind the ball and maybe squeeze a 1-0. They got to give their fans a little bit to play, to be excited about. if they are going to be back in the Championship for maybe a few years. So I think there's goals in this game, and we've seen throughout the whole season that Sheffield United at home cannot keep a clean sheet. So I love Son in this team. He will play as a forward with the absence of Richarlison. So that is the 5 that I'm going for. Now, of course, we do have an absence of an Arsenal midfielder. Saka, Havertz, Odegaard, Trossard. Any of those could easily come into this team. But when I reassess the team I have on your screens, Foden, Palmer, Salah, Son, I like all of those above an Arsenal midfielder. My problem is I can't really pinpoint exactly where the returns are going to come from at Arsenal. And I also think it's quite a difficult game to predict. I do think that Arteta is going to be pragmatic. He is going to make sure they first and foremost keep that clean sheet against Everton. And then it's about getting a few goals. But again, I think they're spread across this team right now with Rice, with Trossard. So I think there is more opportunity in these 5 rather than an Arsenal midfielder. And what you could even do is change up this team and actually take Trent out and put in an Arsenal defender and go for the triple up if you are really certain of that clean sheet. That could be your differential. But I'm really happy with how these midfielders selection is looking. And of course, last up, the forwards. Now, surprise, surprise, Erling Haaland is in the team. Of course, he is going to be in this free hit team. You'd be crazy to go against him. I know some people want to be a little bit different, but look, Man City going for the title, Haaland chasing 30 goals in a season. Nobody's done it back-to-back before in a normal season. You just got to be mad to go against Erling Haaland. So he is in. But the second and third forward positions have actually been jumping around. Now, I previously had it on Nicholas Jackson, and I really do think Nicholas Jackson is a brilliant option this week. It's funny how the narrative changes. Only a few months back, the thought of Nicholas Jackson in an FPL team meant you were crazy. I remember I had him in and everyone was saying I was a madman. Now, it seems like you're a madman for not having Nicholas Jackson in your teams. But I think it's a good opportunity to go a little bit against the grain. A lot of managers have naturally moved away from Mateta due to their chip strategies. But I think Mateta for this week is actually a brilliant option. His returns have been so consistent. And now he has Elise and Eze either side of him being those creative forces. I only see Mateta's stock actually improving for this final game of the season. Now again, on paper, it's not great. Villa at home. And maybe I am creating a little bit of a narrative in my head, but I do think this Palace team are really one of the form teams in the league right now. And with Villa, as I've spoken about, already confirmed 4th, I just don't really see where the motivation is going to be if Palace really kick into action in this game. So I think Mateta is the differential forward to go for. If you want to play it safe from an ownership, then go Nicholas Jackson. I do think that is the safe play, but I see an opportunity to go for Mateta here. And João Pedro is going to be my backup. I previously had Muniz at Fulham. I think that's a great pick. But Luton playing at home, and they're not actually horrendous. So I think they actually have the ability to actually make it a difficult game. Whereas I've spoken about Sheffield United. Even if they want to see out the game, they just don't have the ability to do so. So I've gone for João Pedro. Man United in preparation for the FA Cup final. You don't really know what they're going to do. They might actually rest some players. They might give some minutes and then take some minutes away. Or they're just going to play their best 11 and get match fitness in. Regardless, I don't back Man United for a clean sheet. And I actually do like João Pedro from an underlying stats perspective. And of course on penalties. So I like him as the backup forward. But I probably would put Tomiyasu as my first sub in this team to replace, just to give me that little differential edge of having triple Arsenal defence rather than the double up. But look, that's how the team's going to look. Let's get on to captaincy and then we'll wrap up this video. Now, realistically, I probably didn't have to do this section because of course the captaincy is going to go on Erling Haaland. However, I really do think if you are chasing leagues and Haaland captaincy just isn't going to win it for you, there are some unbelievable alternatives. Now, based on the free hit team, and again, I do think this is one of the best teams that you can build. I know you don't have an Arsenal midfielder, but I also wouldn't feel confident about putting a captaincy on an Arsenal midfielder. But looking at this here, I think you could easily put it on Cole Palmer, 100%. We've seen his returns. I think you have no doubts about that if you wanted to go there. But also, I love Mo Salah as a pick, and I also like Son as a pick. So I think there are 4 unbelievable options. Haaland, Palmer, Salah, Son. Will they outscore Haaland? I have no idea. But if you're in a position right now where your mini league rival, who is top, is 100% going Haaland, and the only way you can go against that is to captain somebody else, I think you need to look at the other 3. If I had to rank them right now, I think it's really tricky. It's very difficult for me to look past Cole Palmer, but a part of me does say captaincy on Salah is actually the way I would go, but I think that's maybe more of a nostalgic pick rather than what I'm seeing in my eyes right now. So realistically, captaincy on Cole Palmer is the sensible move if you want to go against Haaland. Salah is the kind of heart pick, the nostalgia pick, but based on actual fixture, I actually think Son is a really good overlooked captaincy against that Sheffield United defence, who are just pretty woeful themselves. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on both the team and your captaincy. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know. Yes, guys, okay, that is going to wrap up today's Game Week 38 free hit team selection. Of course, we still have 2 more pieces of content to go. We've got the team selection tomorrow and then the deadline live stream on Sunday. So it'll be awesome to see you guys in both of those for the end of the season. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you for the support over this season. If you can drop a like and smash that subscribe button for one final time, that would be massively appreciated. If you have any questions, get them in the comment section and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Cheers.